All right. So, welcome, Priya, for this the next episode of Excellence Speaks. You know that Sonali and I, we've been kind of planning this particular thing for some time now. We've had two stalwarts who joined us across the last 2 weeks. One was Soumitra Banerjee, who was a tech expert, and then we had Prasad from the HR field. So we thought we'll make it a little more interesting with you around this time. And we know you to be a multifaceted person with multiple things that you do. So I'm really, wondering how to introduce. Better not I introduce you. I'll leave it to the people to know who you are themselves when you speak. Okay. So essentially, the idea of this whole thing is to see whether we can, bring a little more positivity into the world. Okay, I mean, at least a little bit, some kind of a thing that we can do to tell people that, yeah, okay, these things happen, and there are ups and downs, and there are pandemics, and there are flus, and there are viruses, and all of those things. But then we need to be a little more, hardy to take ourselves forward and put the best foot forward and see how best we can handle things, right? So that's how these questions are going to be, and we'll see that if we can make. I mean, I see a lot of people, joining us, and hopefully we'll make a small little point to them to take things positively and move on. So the very first question that I have for you, Priya, is that you have multiple roles that you do, but one of that is also business strategy. So just to see, how do you think that the months ahead and the year to come will be for organizations going forward?
Thanks, Unni. It's a very good question, because strategy is one side, economy is one side, and the world is one side. So we'll have to manage all these three together. The businesses that I'm involved is in education and fund accounting and a few of the other things in the digital side. So if I look at education, I think education has been, one of the best things that have happened now is to be able to learn remotely and to be able to be connected to the greatest of the faculty in the world, and learning from them. So that's one of the positive side that I see. So with regards to learning, I think it's borderless and boundaryless. That's the main thing. So I can learn from anywhere, and so that's a strategy that we've developed, and we looked at how we can sort of augment a better kind of quality of education to people around us, and also to upskill and reskill a lot of mid-segment working professionals who would like to really move up the ladder by reskilling themselves. So that's been a very good strategy. So we launched online courses, and it's been doing pretty well. We've done something in data, something in soft skills, something in cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. So that's been a strategy. From the other side, I think working from home has also been that we work full time from home, and there's a lot of things that can be accomplished, and it's been a good journey so far. I think in future also we should look at somewhere a blended or a hybrid model of working, wherein you have meetings, once in a week or something like that, and the rest of the time people could work, so that you could focus on what you're trying to do, yet at the same time have the flavor of meeting your friends and having the little nice chat with them at work, and exchange ideas and talk about a lot of things other than just work. So that's where I feel the strategy is going to be. It's going to be a hybrid model and not going to be a pure play model. But certain sectors of business, I guess, they have to be in brick and mortar, available at all times. So it depends upon how it suits their businesses, and that's what people will adopt, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay. So since you spoke about the institutions, I mean, we have worked together also on the institution model. Now, I want to know, see, because as far as I knew, when I grew up, I went to the college or school because I wanted to meet with my friends. I want to play around with them and all of that stuff, right? But now institutions, what do they need to do to gear up to this whole thing? I mean, both ways, both in terms of the management of the school and also the students of the school. What do they need to do to kind of, go to the next step?
So I think we cannot remove away this brick and mortar education in our system, because that social interaction is a must.
Yeah.
And they learn how to share, how to deal with situations. All that is a mandatory part of our growing up. And I don't think we can cut short that. So definitely, I think institutions will be opening up in future, maybe in a couple of months, I guess. And I think every state has got a different mandate. But by and large, if we are taught how to maintain the protocol and continue to be doing what we are doing, I don't think there's any challenge. So even the AC that post COVID as well, it is something that we all have to learn how to be hygienic, how to respect other person's space, and then move on. So I think that in a way it's taught us how to be the way we have to be, in a bad way, but yes, in a good sense, it's been a nice learning for all of us. I think that's what I would think, Unni. So.
Yeah. So actually, you would have seen, you've worked with institutions abroad and you have alliances with them also. So do you think that the situation in, abroad and India is a little different in this whole institutional space?
No, it is the same. Students are students. It is the same, except that I think the factors that are governing are probably the transportation, the surrounding, the what do you call the factors which are like travel, faculty. All these things are important, which is what we are trying to address right now. So travel also has become very neat, and you have space and all that. Earlier we used to have very crowded buses, and so that I think is still a challenge in India. Even if you open the institutions, people have to respect, and probably government has to do a little more in terms of introducing more buses for the kids to go.
Buses and all that,
yeah. The public transport system, if it's strengthened, I think we can see a sea change in that. And it is the same.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up this faculty, thingy, because we spoke about the management, we spoke about the students. What about the faculty? What do they need to do?
Faculty, I think I think this is a time for them to upgrade their skills and get tech savvy. Very, very tech savvy. I think earlier it used to be that they used to leave the teaching aids and everything to the admin support or somebody to handle it. But I think today the teacher needs to be digitally savvy, aware about what's happening around. And I always, I've been working in this environment of, digital learning for the last 20 years. And it used to be very, very difficult for me to convince people that, brick and mortar education will be there, but still the training material that we create is always an aid to training. So it is easier to show people, a visually appealing content. So I think now is the time for all the teachers to create the content a lot more interesting, interesting stuff, get surf on the net, get things, references, and put together a very, very beautiful, teaching material for the students, which will, in the end of the day, you're able to show them a lot more than what you would have done on a blackboard vis-a-vis a World Wide Web. So that's, I think, is a good way to look at, the teachers upgrading their skills, which is very, very, become prudent right now rather than...
When we do these faculty programs also, we tell them about, alternate methodologies of training and multiple intelligence, and we talk about, because, the essential thing is that if they can't handle an audience which has a span of attention is about probably 5.5 minutes, they're going to be lost, right? And especially now on the online platform where, you have to do so many different things.
You have to be agile in the way you teach, and a lot of props to be used, and the way that you do things have to be totally different from. So here you are not having a force feedback probe, like the games have, where you actually feel the reaction. So here you have to assume that they have reacted. So those are things that we can really bring about.
Watch for these emoticons that are going on.
A lot of them, a lot of fun elements. I think with the new normal, the teachers can actually explore quite a lot. In a different methodology to teach itself. It can be role plays. It can be many things. When like even a lot of information can be put together. You can show videos of movies and clips where you can, which we never used to do in our.
Absolutely.
So it was only happening in the B schools earlier, but right now I think these are things that students can really get exposed to. That means a teacher has to really do a lot of research, which actually improves their knowledge as well.
Absolutely. No, and I think these platforms are quite supportive. That we also shifted to an online model about, say, 3-4 months back. And now we're becoming doctorates in this,
I remember first time when I spoke to you and I said, you have to move to this. and you said, I don't know anything. But I think 6 months you've learned it all, and that itself is a story to talk about. And your
That's
Instagram live, which I never thought you would be on.
we are absolutely right. Anyway, so now we come to this, the focus that we have been trying to, see if these students can actually focus. I mean, it's so difficult to have this particular generation, the millennials, focus on something. So you'll need to tell us, probably from your experience, as to what do these people now need to focus on, especially these students who are in the final year. I mean, it's going to be a completely different game changer now that, these things have come. So how do you think that they need to cope? What skills do you think they require?
Only when you asked me this question, first I thought, there are different kinds of students, like different, genres of, or the streams that students have taken. Like it could be engineering, it could be fashion, it could be, in commerce and many other industries. So first thing is, as a student, if you're a final year student, make yourself a great portfolio. It should have everything. Then you're like all in all, So it is like, when somebody is looking at an employment side, they will look at you in totality and not just your pure play skills. So I think that's something which everybody misses out, is to develop a fantastic portfolio. Don't say, I like running, I like, racing, I like caroms. That's not what it is. A portfolio should be of, what social service you've done, how ethical are you, how socially responsible are you to the society, what have you done with any grassroots level, what projects have you done in your education level, what else. I mean, your craft skills, hobbies are all different from what you develop as a portfolio, which means you have to be there. You should have been, you should have done that, and you talk about the experience. So you're able to look at the whole work area in a very different scenario itself. Most of the people don't realize that, and I believe that today internships are a must. Right from the year one, you should do internships so that you understand. You're like a sponge, you're absorbing everything, what the companies are doing, and you're actually forming an impression about what you want to do in future. So I would believe that develop your portfolio is first very, very important. You should be a versatile, person. Having done that, you should have done sales, you should have done marketing, you should have, gone and even carried some stuff like, like Swiggy kind of delivery. I don't know. I'm just saying, but things like that you should have done, which you're not comfortable with, and then that's when you actually feel that you've, you've been there, done that. Second thing is, you should learn to network. Networking is very, very important. If you do not network, you will not really find your friends and your interests being shared with others. And sometimes you never know, a person who's spoken to you next might be a person who's helping you do what you want. So that's the second thing that I would, prioritize in terms of, what skills or focus the student should develop. The third is be a responsible citizen. When I say be a responsible citizen, I mean that you should be ethical in what you do, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, whether it's at colleges, or whether it's at work. Today, ethics is very, very, very important in your life. And I think, Uni, you guys have a program also, right, about ethics. And
that's right.
I think it's a very important subject. And I'm glad that the government is looking into it very, very seriously. And this the program, once it's done, it becomes like a record for a background verification for a lot of organizations also. They don't need to go spend that extra money to find out how this person is, but this ethics will really help them to, surpass all that they have not done, but also be very, very correct in what they're doing. That really makes them a responsible citizen. So I think that's a very, very important point, I feel.
Yeah. Actually, so
enough. I don't want to be talking more about it.
No, I'm glad you brought up this ethics thing also. You understand that the mandate has come for all engineers to be, ethically qualified or certified, and we are supposed to do it. We are supposed to cover 2 lakh people. I mean, all that is fine, but I feel that it's more than just the technical, the engineers. I think it has to be spread across the spectrum of people, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt. I think ethics is something, it's like even you and me should have that certification. It's like an Aadhaar card. It's like a valedictory certificate of what we are as individuals.
Sybil score, no? It should be something like that, you know.
Something
It should
like a CIBIL score, yeah. It should be like that. So when they look at it, they should know a person is ethically right. What are the kind of lawsuits a person is having, or whatever they know, whether it's good or bad, and things like that.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
think it's truly a very wonderful thing, and it should be across all walks of
Yeah.
life amongst all people. Yeah.
Yeah, one point that you brought out, I just wanted to, you know, kind of just deliberate on that because even my son is abroad. See, a person who is in India, like for example, a student in India, he finds it very delicate, or, you know, it's below his, you know, kind of dignity to work in a, say, in a Domino's as a pizza delivery guy or something. But then if he goes for, say, post-graduation to another country, he's willing to do that particular job also. He feels it's quite okay. I just wanted to know, what is it? I mean, you have experience with both institutions here and abroad, right? Why is it that we are like that? Is it because of the Indian culture that we are like that?
I think dignity of labor is something in India, it's not yet there. Though
Okay.
it's changing. When you look at campuses abroad, like the colleges that I work with and all that, all students are actually manning the counters. And I think once or twice I did that. I was selling hot dogs, you know, for a college cultural. And it was very, very, I mean, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. It was for 2 hours, as you know, you have to do it as on a rotation basis. It was really good fun. I don't know whether I would do it in India because, again, the stigma attached to what you're doing. I don't mind still doing it, but the stigma attached should be removed. It is not because it's not me who's having a problem, but if people are saying, oh, look at her, she's selling hot dogs. That's not, I think if you can remove that, which is a part of our own mistake, if we, you know, expect something like that, we treat them, you know, normally, I don't think there'll be a problem, and everybody would want to work in that environment. I think things are changing, especially in the hospitality industry. It is changing. And also we need to treat interns with dignity and with respect. They're all coming here, they're cheap labor, but then we should not be treating them any bad than, you know, than the regular person who's working. So that way, we're actually encouraging more and more people to. I think there are a few colleges in India today is encouraging this kind of you know, internship and working in these places within the college campus and outside also. So I believe that if you can, if as an institution head, I would tie up with, say, Domino's or Pizza Huts or any of them, saying that my students would come. I think as an institution to institution, there could be a change in the way things are, you know, for
Absolutely.
individuals. So that can be one way of shifting that whole mindset.
In fact, like these institutions now, they do this Danutsav, or they do on, you know, this, you know, Karma Yoga and stuff like that. I think this is a very interesting thing that you said,
very
Priya.
Interesting, and volunteering for a lot of these socially impactful or socially active things are not in institutions, but they're outside also. I think there are many NGOs and other, you know, people who have started this like volunteering service, and people are registering with them. And they don't like cleaning of the beaches. I think you would have heard, right? So everybody goes. So that's the kind of an environment that you need to. So you know you're saving your environment by going and teaching people not to litter in the beach.
Absolutely, So actually, I mean, something that you said sparked off a thought in my mind. Like, for example, this ethics thing itself. You know, we brought in, you know, I mean, multiple qualities that you need to be ethical. You know, including honesty, integrity, respectability, inclusivity. Like, for example, even if he's an intern doing a particular job with the pizza, you know, kind of delivery kind of thing, that also has to be included. I mean, you need to be making him feel part of that whole establishment.
Exactly.
Right? I just wanted to know, I mean, see, India is not great in terms of the, you know, transparency index. We are some 76th in the world or something like that. I mean, how different is it, say, in a country like, say, Malaysia, for example, or the US or the Singapore or the New Zealand or Australia and all that? I mean, do students and all feel this ethical need? I mean, is it a global thingy or is it only related to India?
It's a global need, I think, and it's a global thing also. I can't say 100% everybody is ethical. There could always be a percentage of people who are not. But however, as I like the way Singapore is looking at training, you know, the military training for 2 years. I don't know, somehow I feel that that's one system that we could look at in India. Because somehow it gives the grounding, the required skills and knowledge for them to be what they have to be. Having said that, the new education policy is covering a lot of those stuff. May not be a mandatory 2 years, but it is still a great policy that has been put together in order to change the way education is being offered in India. So ethically being right and all that is, I think it should come from schools, and it has to graduate into colleges and so on, become a responsible citizen. So that's something, I think it's a continuous process. We can't say at age 15 you have to be ethical. We can't do that. We have to inculcate the habit, and as parents and as teachers and as friends, we all have to be complementing each other's knowledge sharing. That so ethically this should be right, ethically that should be right. So we should know that we are a responsible country, and that's when I think everything else also progresses. If we are tackling one issue, I think it's a global issue. So about other countries, I'm not sure. I mean, I've traveled quite a lot, but in the education system, I guess everybody has a system to follow. Whether it's the boundary of the college or a boundary of the country, they all follow. So I'm sure it is there.
So I think, they at least need to, I mean, before we used to have these moral science and stuff like that, I think they need to have at least general ethics that happen, across institutions in the lowest, I mean, the starting point. As they get closer to getting into a, professional role, the professional ethics part also, work ethics needs to come into the whole thing. I think it is a system that we need to create. Absolutely right. So as I close this particular session, Priya, is there something that you would like to share with probably the at least the young minds? Would you like to share something before we close the session?
Yeah, I actually always think about this quote from this Martin Luther King, right? Especially because we are going through a pandemic situation in the whole world, but that is not the end of all. So we must accept finite disappointment, but we must never lose infinite hope. I think with that, I would like to close. So, which is very,
no, you
very
need to say that again. You need to say that again.
We must accept finite disappointment, but we must never lose infinite hope. So I feel that there's always hope, and we live in hope, and that is actually one of the strongest genes in our body that actually emits positive affirmations. That hope is something that we should, and I don't think there's anything to be worried about now. Things have come to a standstill, but yes, we've all changed our business models to suit that requirement. So with the hope that we can do better, if we put 110% of our effort in that, I'm sure we'll see success. And with that, I would like to, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say.
I mean, that is really, really nice. And we are, kind of an optimistic society. And especially in Excel, we kind of, I mean, we have, I'm going to have the tagline, which is we could close the session. When Sonali and I, we go through crisis, I mean, whatever that might be, financial, etc., etc., we have a mantra which says, when in crisis, order a biryani.
Another thing, as a parting, statement or parting points that students should look forward is, today we cannot be without being literate, and that too, digital literacy is, I think, a very, very core and integral part of our, being here. Whether it is, I think the way we moved in the last 10 years is stupendous in terms of our technology upgradations, the way our banking system, or the way the mobile network, the way we pay our money, the way we, work with banks, everywhere, the way we order food, Amazons and Flipkarts and food, the Swiggy, the Dunzo. I think technologically, everybody has to be very, very digitally literate, and also learn how to do problem solving. There's a problem, you should know how to solve the problem. And you can't let somebody else solve our problem. And the third one is about global citizenship. You're a citizen, but you're a global citizen as well, which means that do best to the world and not just yourself. So I think these are, I keep telling this to my students as and when I meet, but since we're talking to a larger audience today, I thought it must be repeated. And I believe in drill and practice. So you keep on saying things, and then somewhere it just goes in and settles down.
Beautifully done. I mean, it's about how much you give in comparison to how much you gain. I think if you can, make it multiple each time, I think it becomes so much. I mean, we will create so many better, really conscious citizens for the world. Thanks a lot, Priya. It was wonderful chatting with you, and I think it was a little. I mean, we had a little bit of humor attached to all that we conversed about.
As always. As always.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Uni, for having me on your
Yeah.
show
Wonderful,
today.
Priya.
Yeah. And
All
like
best.
social distancing, I'm going to say namaskaram.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.